This is a story about how I attempted to take my life before I was even 16. And that wasn't the first time either. But that day, something changed. So, backstory. So, I grew up in a full house with both parents who loved their own individual way. But the kind of love that I needed, I didn't get. I was the quiet one, always in her room, writing poetry and writing in my journal and talking to God, feeling like I didn't belong. I had 4 other siblings who lived in the household at the time. I was the second oldest. I was the main one getting in trouble because I was curious and I was the disobedient child. And I would get in trouble a lot to the point where I really felt unloved because it seemed like I was the main one getting in trouble, of course, but I was very rebellious. So, of course, I got in a lot of trouble with my parents. Sometimes it was petty stuff, and it got to the point where I didn't feel like I was loved. So I used to write letters to my dad about how I was feeling, hoping he'd see me, he'd hear me, really to understand me, even though he loved differently. He's not a horrible dad. He's a good dad. He's just a tough love kind of man, and I'm super sensitive. Sometimes he wouldn't even read them. Sometimes I was ignored completely. And every time it left me feeling smaller and even more invisible. Like, who cares about me, right? I didn't realize it then, but that wound followed me in all my relationships. All of them. Me pouring my heart out, writing these novels and messages and attempting to feel heard and seen, trying to explain myself of why I am the way I am, only to be left unread or hit with the okay, or I'm not reading all of that. So it's like there I was cycling right back down to what I used to feel of not being seen, not being heard or understood, which left me feeling like a nobody. At 15, I ended up losing my virginity to someone I thought loved me, when really it was just me chasing validation and attention because I didn't know my worth, especially at 15, and I wasn't receiving that at home. I was looking outside the home for that. And that man that I was so in love with, he ended up in prison. I was so depressed. Why does it have to start right now? I was so depressed that they ended up putting me on antidepressants. And then there was one night after, and then it was the night that I found out he was imprisoned. I downed the whole bottle. Sorry about the pause because they wanted to cut the grass while I'm trying to make a video. Better not turn it back on. But anyways, so that night I found out he was incarcerated, and the depression weighed so heavy on me. They ended up putting me on antidepressants. And that night I found out I downed the whole bottle. My mom woke up in the middle of the night, had to rush me to the hospital to get my stomach pumped, and I remember the smell of the hospital. I remember the corners of the walls turning black, and I was hallucinating. It was pretty scary because that was the furthest I've ever went in attempting to commit suicide. While I was in that place, something whispered to me, "It's not your time yet. I need you here," is what I was hearing. "It's not your time yet. I need you here. Don't ever do that again." I was getting yelled at. I didn't understand my purpose of still being here at the time. I didn't have anything to look forward to. I didn't know why I was still here. But I remember I made a silent promise that day that I would never do that again. I just knew that I was here for a reason, even though I wasn't happy. So I walked out of there alive, but I still wasn't healed yet. I went through years of partying, drinking, smoking, running from myself, hiding from my emotions, masking my thoughts, like trying to run from it all. I was escaping. I was escaping from what I was feeling because I didn't understand like why I was here, and I was still depressed, and I just knew I wasn't gonna attempt to end my life again. Fast forward to when I was like 18. My friend had a place that everyone ran to, for the parties. And that night we were just supposed to have a movie night. Somebody knocks on the door with a case of beer. I was low-key annoyed. Like, yo, we've been drinking all summer. I don't want to drink today. I didn't feel like it. So I was like, well, I'm going to opt this one out. I'm not drinking tonight. Y'all could drink. I'm not. So as I'm the sober-minded one watching everything around me, it's like something snapped in me, like a wake-up call. At that moment, I knew I couldn't keep living like this anymore. The partying, the drinking, none of that was satisfying me. I just needed more. Like, that wasn't it. So within a couple of weeks, I packed my 2 suitcases and my $300 and left Wisconsin to Baltimore. Check out that video. Leaving from Wisconsin to Baltimore without knowing anybody, not having anything, just following that call to get up and leave. Why Baltimore? I don't know. Like, I to this day, I just say it was God. But go watch that video. Looking back at all that has transpired, I realized sometimes God keeps you here for a reason that you just can't see yet. Your pain doesn't mean you're broken. It just means you're being shaped. And maybe the reason you felt unseen is because you're meant to see others in the way that nobody saw you. That moment, seeing it today and reflecting back on it now, it has created me to be the person that I am today, to sit here in front of you and share my wisdom and to understand you from a deeper level, like those who I've shared readings with. And that was my gift. And in order to receive that gift, I had to go through those dark days in order to understand it, even though it did not make sense at the time. And to this day, I'm glad I never ended my life, because I wouldn't be able to see those gifts or see the ripple effect that I can have in the world, even if it's just being a blessing in one person's life. And now I have a son. I didn't think that I could have kids at one moment. That's another story. Stay tuned for that one. And sometimes we don't realize how each little situation in our life is all connected. It's all connected. It's all a part of the bigger picture, the bigger purpose. Just because it doesn't feel good in the moment does not mean that there's no purpose in it. It is molding you to who you are called to be. And like I said, sometimes you don't even realize it at the moment. But when you look back on life and see how everything is like calculated, how all the little lessons and the trials and tribulations you've been through in life has shaped you into the person that you are now, and how you are gifted after every hard thing that comes in your life, it shapes you. So this was just the beginning of my rebirth. In my next video, I'll tell you my story about how I had my son, and I didn't think that I could have children at one point, but stay tuned.